John Florence.
Filipe Toledo is going to hammer that pocket.
The waves are so fun right now, you know, it just reminds me of J-Bay, you know, this perfect line, stop short wind, cold water, you know, those good memories.
Florence up at the moment, up into the hook and hammers the lip.
Straight at the lip, just jams it and rides out clean.
I'm really excited. Hopefully it's a battle. He jams underneath it, rides out the front, the crowd go wild. What a moment at the Rip Curl Pro. Game on.
The final just about to get started with Filipe Toledo and John John Florence fighting to win the bell. For both these athletes, they're in the final of Bells Beach for the first time in their career and trying to get a jump start on the title race. John Florence beat Filipe Toledo in a close decision at Durango on the Gold Coast. Saw him go all the way to equal third, where Filipe left the beach kind of wanting more. They both have a lot to brag about when it comes to high combined heat totals. Probably two of the highest scoring athletes in the final going head-to-head.
Yeah, and it's actually quite a surprise that neither of their names are on this iconic trophy, but at the end of today, one of them will be getting a bell for the first time. So incredible stuff. And you talk about Toledo's reputation once he makes the final. He's got 100% winning percentage. John, he's no slouch. So, and I honestly believe we haven't seen the best from these two yet. There's been some nervous moments for both of them. John looked fantastic yesterday. Filipe kind of struggled a little bit with equipment. Today, a little bit more right up his alley, and I think we're going to see some fireworks, Joe.
Looking forward to it. I guess the one finals day where Toledo didn't convert was in a different type of format, you know, going to the surf ranch when it's leaderboard kind of style.
Yep.
But like you said, 100% in these kind of heats in the ocean. Obviously dominant at J-Bay for consecutive seasons, rewriting the book on how you surf kind of an old world wave. You know, it's not all about carves and barrel rides. You could go above the lip even when you don't have an air section. And John just loves Felipe's air game. I remember back in the day, Florence was making a signature movie, and he actually invited Filipe to feature in it. Unfortunately, John hurt himself when they were going air for air. And he had a joke about it. He's like, I was just trying to do Toledo airs.
Yeah.
So a lot of respect for both these athletes. These guys are going to push each other to ring that bell.
Yeah, that they are. You can hear the crowd going wild there for both Courtney and Malia once they get back to the beach. But, you know, you've got to kind of feel for Malia a little bit. You know, I thought she was looking sharp. I thought, you know, maybe this is it. Maybe this is her day. Can she come away with a win here? And Courtney Conlog just denied her at the last minute, Joe.
Courtney Conlog into a special place on the beach. Best feeling in surfing, probably winning major events, riding the wave of your life, and this would probably be the next best, seeing all your friends and family and seeing how happy that you made all the fans in Victoria. The local crew absolutely loves Courtney Conlog, what she brings to the Bells Bowl, and she's totally owned it. Now for the third time representing herself, Southern California and USA. And there's the chair. You always wonder, are they going to go all the way up the staircase? That's a big responsibility at Bells.
It sure is. This is why these athletes do this, Joe. Just for that feeling right there. It's not about the money. It's not about the glory. It's about that winning feeling. Sense of accomplishment. Nothing better.
Now 12 championship tour wins for Courtney Conlog. Moving up on the all-time win list to be equal with Nerida Falconer and also Margot Oberg. One shy of Tyler Wright, who has 13 wins and 2 world titles. Potts, she said the rhythm is back, but she showed us 2 wins in a short time last year on the comeback from injury.
Nice. Thank you. Whew. Courtney, thank you.
Yeah, it is back. She's back.
Oh my God.
That smile's back on the face. And that's a scary thing. You know, Karamis is next. She's a great tube rider. Then Margaret River. She could go on a massive roll here and put herself well and truly in that title race.
And Courtney last year wasn't ready to compete at Karamis, but it was a brand new event on the calendar and she couldn't help herself.
Good on your court. Well done.
Thanks, Ronnie. Yeah!
Celebrations for Courtney continues. We'll roll in with the first wave of the final. Filipe Toledo getting the first arc out of the way. Love the rail work. Probably uses the least amount of foam in his surfboards. But he can have so much control just using that blade into the open wall. Hits it hard off the top of that lip. Goes over the falls and stomps it perfectly. Different types of turns you get to see at Bells at this size. From what we're used to seeing in his highlight clips of going upside down and doing backflips and rotations in high performance conditions. When it's double overhead, he's still using the lip well and still finding sections where he can airdrop and land in the flats. Toledo will kick things off in the lead.
Yeah, he will. Are we going to see some air game in this final? That's the question. We haven't seen we saw a little bit when we were down at Winky Pop in the early rounds, but let's have a look at Toledo's opening wave. I love this board under his feet, Joe. It looks just really clean. We talk about the leaderage, very low leaderage, around 24, 25 liters in his board, so almost like a potato chip, really, but it looks like it's carving through the whitewater nicely. And then out on the open face, timing this last maneuver here. With that free fall drop out of the sky, Toledo stops his first turn. Beautiful maneuver right here. He gets that rotation, gets that really that pop off the lip there, and gets blinded by the whitewater. All feel right there. Now he gets the water out of his face and says, yep, nice way to start the final against John John Florence.
Strider Wasilewski, we've been looking at his surfboards. I mean, how much volume is Filipe really using right now?
He's been on 24, usually on shortboards, and out here right now he's on 24.7. So that's pretty much what he's been running through the event. Right now under his feet, he's hiding that foam just along the stringer though, so that he can get the board to have that flow through the water and that paddle power, and leaving those rails nice and knifey and turned down so he can still sink the rail in really well. You know, it's interesting to where the shapers will put the foam. So Marcio Zubi, a master at hiding that foam, hiding that thickness, and making those boards still perform really well.
Good man, Strider, and it's all up to the individual on tour, what works best for them. You know, Filipe is never going to ride a board that would work well for John John. He's a different type of surfer, and you can see how, you know, foam is your friend until it's not. And some surfers love more volume, more flow. Toledo wants total control because he's that talented, where he could get away with riding a total blade out there. 6-5 start against John John Florence.
Yeah, you know, you heard Strider say how the shaper hides the foam. I mean, what foam? There's hardly any of it. This board is like a knife, and it looks like a knife through hot knife through butter. So Toledo looking sharp. John John about to answer back.
Florence now setting this up from way out the back. There's that top turn wrap. It looks so calm in transition, not even moving there. Right on the money. There's the layback dagger under the lip. And that's one of the first ones he hasn't pulled off here on finals day.
Well, you got to let it all hang out, you know, and it's this is the third surf for these guys today. So there's got to be an element of fatigue that's going to come into play. And I like the way John John paused. Watch this bit of riding here. He absolutely does nothing, conserving his energy, letting the wave do all the hard work. Now he goes to town on it, jams it, and just pokes that nose just a little bit too deep. And goes down, unfortunately for John John. That was looking like a perfect section to unload a massive turn. Just dug the nose in and unfortunately went over the handlebars. So priority now with Toledo, and advantage on that opening wave.
You see John John Florence feature that layback hack so many times the last couple of days, but it's a turn you just can't get enough of because he does it with so much power, so much raw energy. That one he tried to blow his whole board out the back as he's riding a 6.2, that Ghost model that he worked on with John Paizel that took him to one of the most incredible pro surfing victories in history back at Margaret River Main Break in maxed out conditions. And during that finals day, he had so many nines, so it never was a problem for him burning out or running out of steam when the surf was that good. He's used to spending his whole day in the water on the north shore of Oahu when the waves are pumping.
Yeah, you know, I mean, when you're in the zone, you're in the zone. It almost feels like it's effortless. Everything you do just seems to click. You know, you paddle over here, the wave comes to you. You know, you're on every good wave that comes through. Every maneuver you try seems to pull off. The board feels beautiful under feet. It feels like, you know, no matter where you put your eyes, that board's going to be there. So you know, to have that, and then, you know, you couple it with the talent that John John's got, and you have one of the most iconic surf days ever at Margaret River.
John John Florence, now 26 years of age. 2 world titles on a serious comeback from the knee injury last year, chasing just a 4.68. Filipe Toledo, 6.5 on the opener, became a world title threat when he started winning events back in 2015. Started off with that incredible performance at Snapper. So a little bit younger than John John. Florence accomplishing Rookie of the Year through a tough rookie class that included Gabriel Medina. Medina and John got called up at the same time. We used to have a mid-season rotation. Pupo was also in that mix. So they started off at lower trestles that year. And Medina started winning first. We saw Medina win 2 events in the back half of the year. John's first event win was in Brazil when they had a full complete season. And that finally had with Joel Parkinson.
Yeah, Joe, remember that day you and I were standing at Snapper Rocks and we saw Toledo on the sharp eye for the first time? We kind of knew things were going to happen.
Something was about to change. Filipe knew it as well. He said he was already going to win before we got into the second round. Florence in motion, coming off the wrap. Goes so high off the top, maybe covering the most water on every single bottom turn. There he's deep off the bottom, crushing the finish. Another big hack that he lets go of. Not holding back is what Florence is famous for, but we've seen him pull so many of those throughout finals day.
You know what? He knows he's not going to beat Filipe by holding back, Joe. He knows he's not going to beat Filipe by doing average maneuvers. He's got to let the hammer down and really produce massive turns to get those big scores. Sets coming through out the back. How do we know that? Well, we can hear the whistle, and that generally means there's waves on the way. Toledo in position. He goes over the first wave. Have a look at this set, ladies and gentlemen. This is beautiful. Bells Beach at its finest with 2 of the best surfers in the world. Toledo getting himself in position, Joe. Oh my, here we go.
Already has a 6.5. Trying to take advantage of John John falling on those last 2 efforts. Big connection off the lip. Holding that bottom turn. Little layback carve. Passes that white water because he sees something bigger down the line. Hacks it super clean. He is quite a showman. Feeding off this amazing crowd we have in Victoria. What a start for Toledo.
Wow, that was insane, Joe. You got to understand the difficulty in riding a wave like that at Bells Beach. Now, it looks perfect. It looks like this nice big chunk of water that you can just do whatever you want on it. No, you can't. This wave is one of the most difficult waves to ride, and to surf it well, you've got to be someone like Toledo or John John.
Impressed with Toledo's control. 6.5 start. Filipe Toledo getting on the ski after that second scoring ride. Perfect start to this heat, just with his rhythm. Obviously, there's a lot of room in the scale, but his connection at Bells is spot on at the moment, Potts.
Absolutely spot on. Beautiful turn there from Toledo. And I love the way he just takes his time and produces another searing turn off the top. Waiting for this wave to come through the inside. I was a bit worried about that reverb off the jet ski, and comes out of it nice and clean. So Toledo, a 6.5 on his opening wave. And let's have a look at John John's last ride, Joe. A smaller ride, so he's got to really put the hammer down if he wants a big score on it. And there's that extension of the body, that classic John John style. Real quiet hands down next to the side until he really gets going. And goes for broke on the inside, just losing the fins out the back just a little bit. Let's have a look and see what happens. Goes up into the lip, jamming the tail. Gets a little bit of disconnection from the face of the wave there. Unfortunately goes down. So 2 mistakes in a row for John John. Very uncharacteristic. Whereas 2 completed rides for Toledo. He finds himself in a pretty strong spot.
John John Florence, jersey number 12, had people thinking right away that he was really hoping to break Kelly's record when at some stage of his career, since Kelly's got 11 world titles. John dealing with a couple of injuries has kind of slowed his reign, but obviously with some incredible rivals, including Gabriel Medina, who's coming off his second world title.
John only needs 10 more.
It'd be incredible.
How crazy is it when you think about it that way? I mean, he's got 2 world titles under his belt. To beat Kelly's record, he's just got to win 10 more.
Yeah, he's on his way, and he's still very young. I mean, Kelly's still going at 47.
Yeah.
Priorities with Florence out the back, chasing a 9.33 now. Toledo getting his score in at a 7.33 on the last. As they hold their position out the back, let's go to a Harley-Davidson historical moment. John John Florence, unbelievable road in his Australian leg of the tour, in his second world title defense. Came up against one of the best ever at Bells Beach. Decided to go to the sky for one of the biggest airs completed here at Bells Beach.
Yeah, I mean, look at the face work that he was doing as well, but he was up against one of the greats, Mick Fanning. And John knew he had to do something special. Mick was on some sort of a roll through the early stages of this heat. Then John decided to take to the air. And once he started getting that confidence up, it was danger signs for Mick Fanning, and then this happened. The board fluttering in mid-flight. Very rare do you see John claim anything. And that was a special moment for John to take down Mick Fanning at the iconic Bells Beach is one of the most difficult things to do in the history of the sport.
Pretty impressed with what he did that day. Mick Fanning watched that clip on WSL's social media, and he said his first reaction was that air was incredible, and then he remembered right away that he was in that heat on the wrong side of that air. But he obviously is a huge fan of surfing, huge fan of John John. And seeing that massive air, it looks like a flyaway, and he pulled it down. Amazing footwork, especially through the wind.
Yeah, I like the way the board fluttered, you know, and he used his big toe just to hang on to it somehow. And, you know, when your opponent's doing stuff like that, there's not much you can really do to answer.
It's interesting when you ask these guys how to do maneuvers like that when they're such natural athletes. Sometimes they just can't even put it into words. They're that talented. They just react and give us highlight reels every single year.
Well, you just got to kind of throw your board about 6 foot above the lip of the wave and somehow hang on to it without your hands.
Every coach in the world's going, okay, I'm going to teach my surfers how to do that.
No, you can't teach that stuff.
There's a special surfers in the world like Toledo, like Florence, that bring their best surfing with the jersey on.
If you could teach that, every surfer would be able to do that. Not every surfer can do that, Joe. You've got to be born with that stuff.
And also to be clutch with a huge crowd cheering you on, or maybe even against you on tour. Be able to pull that out when you need it the most, that creates world champions. For Filipe Toledo, he's been incredible. He actually has more CT wins than John Florence, but John has the 2 world titles. Much more consistent. Toledo's had amazing results in years where you're thinking he's destined to reign. He's learned a lot, though, in a short period of time. Still just 24 on tour. 23 on the clock. They both look interested in this set, Potts.
Yeah, big solid bomb coming through. John Florence with priority, deciding to let that first wave go.
And taking off late is Toledo. Straight off the bottom into a big carve off the top. The wave just bending, and he'll just fade and wait for it to stand up again. Already starting to build his speed. Filipe, mid-face bottom turn, and ejects.
Well, John let that go. Filipe decided to have a look at it. First turn was beautiful.
He's already gone through a lot of board spots.
I know. I figured, well, if he snaps this one, what's he got left? Who knows? But, you know, I think he assessed that wave halfway through and thought, you know what, to better my 6.5, I'm going to have to do something special, and that's going to be very risky, number 1. Halfway through the final, I can't afford to snap this board, number 2. So a great move there for him to pull back. Let's have a look at the first turn, though. I thought he was well and truly on his way. Extends that maneuver. Thought he was going to snap it. He just held that rail beautifully there. And then it kind of went a little sleepy. So just some rail work to find this inside bowl. And then once this inside bowl produced itself, Toledo had a look at it, assessing it. Yes, no, yeah, no, I'm out of here. He says, I can't deal with that one, and kicks out. So maybe a smart move there from Filipe. Would have been nice to see him go for something special, but it could have been very detrimental.
Filipe Toledo, 7.33 out in front. Strider, probably a smart decision not to hit that end section for Toledo.
Yeah, you never know how it is coming into those sections. You're looking at them, yes, no, maybe so. Maybe just a hair off on timing, so decides not to hit it. But you know what? The anticipation out here in the lineup right now, you know, these lulls happen, and then all of a sudden you just start thinking about what is going to happen and how is it going to go down? Who's going to get the next best wave? Is going to be the right choice as the set approaches? Do you take the first wave or the second wave? I can't imagine how many things go through your head as a competitor, Potts. I mean, you must have a million things to think about at that time. Do you just go off pure instinct?
Well, that's exactly right, Strider. It's all, you know, split-second decisions. You got to keep the mind really quiet and just, you know, really reacting to what the wave lets you do. So you can't really take off on a wave and say, okay, on this wave I'm going to do a cutback, a re-entry, and finish with an air, because if that wave doesn't allow you to, then you're going to find yourself in a weird situation. So, I mean, these guys are so good. They come off the bottom, and halfway through that bottom turn, they then are deciding what the next turn's going to be. So that split-second timing, that's what makes these guys so good, because they've got a bag of tricks that is, you know, is as big as anyone's, and for them to pull out that right maneuver at the right time, that's incredible decision-making.
Great point, Strider from the water, who's calling the action of the final, the last heat of the 58th edition of the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. One of these surfers will be forever remembered on the staircase. That was immediate what Adriano de Souza thought of watching this event go by, just knowing that his name's on that staircase forever. No one could take that from him. It's a great feeling for a pro surfer, knowing they accomplished to win one of the toughest events on the calendar. Famous saying, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Pacing your way from heats at Winky Pop all the way to the Bells Bowl in big conditions. Florence in motion. Pulls off that layback hammer off the top. Draws that quick cutty. This wave's going almost completely flat. Still so powerful, he'll just ride through. He's hoping for the wall to start increasing. And looks like it's starting to bend towards him now. Florence, there's a big crushing layback finishing move that he's been loving here at Bells. A 9.33 is the score that he needs to get to win, but he's improving on his 1.83. Positive signs for Florence now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, job done right there. You know, just under 19 minutes to go. He had priority. He decided to roll the dice on this sort of a medium-sized wave. Watch this turn here, Joe. That's more like it from John John. Nice conviction in that maneuver, nice confidence. It starts to get that flow happening. Board looking nice and loose under his feet here. And now this is all fill-in work. Keep that board trimming, keep that speed up through this flat section of wave, a difficult thing to do. Now he starts to hit the gas. Timing is everything through the inside and jams it right into the lip there and finishes off nicely. So that's kind of the thing that these guys can thrive on, Joe. It's just building momentum. And this could be exactly the wave John John needed. Now, it's not going to be the 9.33 that he's looking for, but it's going to close the gap. It's going to give him a bit of confidence, and it could change up his rhythm. Who knows? Little things like that go a long way when your name's John John Florence.
It's incredible to see John's growth in heats with heat strategy as well, joining forces with Ross Williams. Before he went into his second world title year, just starts making great decisions that he can just put himself back in the heat, especially with reliable moves like this.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I mean, he's got that maneuver on the string, and a couple of wipeouts in his first two waves. He needed to finish a wave to get himself back on track. He did exactly that. So, you know, he was ultimately looking for a 9.33. He knew that wave wasn't going to give him that 9.33. But what it was going to give him was just going to get his confidence back, and that's exactly what happened.
I feel like in John's first year on tour, needing that big score, he used to be like, okay, well, I better do a backflip. But and sometimes he's pulling it off, and he's the hero. But sometimes he's getting lost in heats where he should have been making it through. I think working with a coach like Ross, he was able to make better heat decisions. And even before that, he got a lot of knowledge from Bede Durbridge when Bede was injured that year. And he started tidying up little moments where that was a comeback wave for John, just to put himself back in the heat. And he'll still get those opportunities to steal the show with 10-point rides. But now putting the whole package together and turning into such an insane surfer to watch. Now going for a third world title this season.
You know, what was the other option? To sit there and wait, right? And so time is ticking away. He's got two wipeouts under his belt. You know, he's sitting away there thinking, and then all of a sudden your mind starts wandering the wrong way, you know. And so what John John wanted to do then was just get rid of all those negative thoughts, get a good wave under his belt, finish on his feet, which he's done, and there's the score. So right back in the mix now. Did need a 9.33, but that's changed.
6.67 for Florence. Now needs a 7.17 to fight for the bell. Toledo still out front with priority. High single score, 7.33. Both these surfers have had 10s out here in the past. The biggest numbers this week were really favored for Florence San Medina in the gigantic day of surf yesterday. But Toledo showed his mettle, and he didn't matter if he was breaking boards. He came in with so much energy. He was really tested by Ryan Callanan today as well in the semifinals.
Yeah, I think Filipe had 3 board changes yesterday in one heat. You know, completely ruined one, which was one of his good ones. But you know what? He made it through that day. You know, I figured all he needed to do was get through those big gnarly conditions today. Was going to be a little bit more in control, but still, it is big out there. Let's have a look. Filipe Toledo up and right.
Setting up his first turn, Toledo looking to better a 6.5. Beautiful flow off the top of that whitewater. Digging in hard off the bottom, attacking the lip. Filipe putting so much effort off the bottom here at Bells. Well overhead section, he'll just carve through the top. Great timing through this inside. Can Toledo finish on his feet? Hits it, squares up vertically into the foam, and he'll just celebrate another incredible ride at Bells Beach.
You could tell the legs were burning at the end of that wave. Sucking in the deep breaths. And now the recovery period. Duck dives that wave. He's going to get on the jet ski and try and get back out into the lineup. He knows John John is on his comeback. He was looking for a 9.33. John John now only looking for a 7.17. That sounds a lot better. And that's why there was a little sense of urgency on that last ride from Toledo.
Amazing amount of speed gathered from Toledo. Always called the fastest surfer on tour. Especially when we heard that credit come from Mick Fanning's mouth, who is the original fastest surfer on tour. I guess you have to go back to Potts being very fast himself back in the day. We could go on and on. But it was cool to see that credit from Fanning as well. Lightning fast in transition. On waves that you're kind of dictating the pace of play. When it's really big and solid, you can tell Toledo knows exactly what he's doing when he places that rail off the bottom. Water Patrol's got to S their way back around the corner here, Potts.
Yeah, I think there was bigger sets coming through out the back. So, you know, you've got to think of the athlete on the back of the ski. That is their primary mission right now, is to get him back out into the water safe and sound. Let's have a look at Toledo's wave here. Looking to improve on a 6.5. Big, deep bottom turn. Up and over. Draws that turn out. Drops back in again. Straight off the bottom and into the lip. Beautiful turn there from Toledo. Little foam climb. So mixing it up. Showing the judges a bit of different turn every maneuver. Double pump again and slashes off the top. So joining the dots. Finding those little peaks that stand up and offer him that scoring potential. Right about here, those legs are starting to burn, so these last maneuvers very critical. Toledo finishes off nicely and kicks on out, so I think I'm seeing him maybe a better than that 6.5.
And now seeing Florence looking to get in this final. Big whip on that oncoming section. Holds the rail into a huge top turn wrap. Will fade this section, but a great start for John John. All patience. What a cool style to watch. Wave growing in size and belts it vertically. Almost felt like the whole ocean was breathing. The size just doubled before the closeout. And John had perfect timing there. Let's see it again from out the back.
Yeah, you know, the thing was, watch this next bottom turn here, Joe. Almost kind of catches a little bit, but it doesn't do any harm to that turn. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. You know, he gets a little bit of a bump off the bottom. That can sort of, you know, throw you a little bit off balance. Not for John John Florence. And now timing this last maneuver. As it stands up, he just hooks into it. Wheelies down the face of the wave as easy as you like. And kicks out of that one. So, 7.17 because Toledo did not improve his situation.
Scores coming in from the panel. Did John John do enough for a lead change here in the final of the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach? We'll find out after this short break. 10:30 to go in the final here of the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. John John versus Filipe Toledo for a shot to take out one of the most special events on the calendar. Before we went to break, Florence just took a part away through the inside and stayed on his feet and got the score. Big lead change, 7-6-3 for the surfer representing Hawaii on tour. Filipe Toledo down to second with priority, needs a 6.98. He had the lead basically for about 30 minutes, so now the back 10 will make a decision on our champion today. Joe Chappelle and Martin Potter for the call, former Bells champ. As this title race gets exciting, never too early to break it down. I think the big thing, though, for John was just coming back to the tour, being amongst his rivals through an awkward year last year of getting knocked out by Mikey Wright, the wild card at the time on the Gold Coast. You kind of want to show up and redeem yourself. He did that to a third-place finish, got past Toledo. But then he had the tough heat against his longtime childhood friend and rival Zeke Lau, and he's able to come here for redemption. It's almost like when Mick had the incident at J-Bay. He said he wanted to right the wrongs. He wanted to get back on the horse quickly. Pro surfing, one event on the calendar, you got to wait a long time to redeem yourself sometimes.
Yeah, you do, and it's that anticipation. You know, it's all the preparation, the hard work that goes into it that no one really sees. You know, you sort of look at certain athletes and think, wow, they're training hard, but you know, when you look at it really across the board, everyone is putting in so much hard work. And at this stage right now, this is what it comes down to. These moments right here, you've got to dig deep. Filipe Toledo, it kind of looked like he was running away with it there for a while, but then John John caught that medium-sized wave and dropped that 6.67. Now it all makes sense. Got himself back in the heat and then backed it up with another good score and took the lead. So Toledo now has the pressure.
So 8:35, Toledo with that perfect record in heats. Once he gets to the final, he always closes. Thanks for watching the final on Fox Sports. Florence just got the lead, a 7-6-3. After starting off the final with a couple of falls, he worked it out, and this was the score that made the difference.
Yeah, let's have a look at it. Nice opening maneuver. Total commitment there from John John. A little bit of a wobble off the bottom, but geez, it didn't make any difference whatsoever to that beautiful maneuver. And again, look at the style, the timing, everything. I mean, he takes his time with it. He knows this way it's going to produce through the inside. Now he starts to build up his speed and really hammers the door shut. Nice. I love that wheelie that he does down the face of the wave. I wish I could do that. And again, that commitment that you really need to get those big scores here at Bells Beach. You've got to throw a little bit of caution to the wind. You've really got to go for it to get your board up into the lip. Mixing it up, variety of repertoire, key factor here as well. And then to join the dots through this flat section. This is where I think heats are won and lost. To be able to come into that end section with a lot of speed, which makes that next maneuver really dynamic and allows you to put your board in that critical position. John John is an absolute master at it, and hence those big scores. 7.63 on that occasion, and now puts the pressure on Toledo. But Toledo is only needing a 6.98, Joe, which he can kind of get in his sleep, really.
That's right. Strider, we're hearing the whistle from Ricardinho Toledo loud and clear. Can you hear it out in the water right now?
That's a negative, Ghost Rider. Do not buzz the tower. You cannot hear the whistles out here. That wind has come up pretty strong, coming down the coast, taking those whistles and you know, that loud from the beach is kind of spreading it down towards Winky Pop. So, you know, that usual whistle, that pierce that you hear out here, you can't hear it. You can see Toledo looking in for his dad, looking for signals. So maybe they're working out on something else. Maybe they've got a board or something else that they're doing on the beach right now. But Toledo definitely looking for something, as he knows he doesn't have the upper hand right now.
Thank you, Strider. We know that Filipe loves the sound of that whistle from his dad on the beach. They've got secret different codes to that whistle that tells him different things. Oftentimes his dad will wear a bright colored shirt with some signaling for situations like this.
Orange, is it?
Yeah, that bright orange shirt. See if he has it on now. But Toledo with priority. He's obviously been in this position so many times on his own, developing a game plan to come back against Florence. These guys have had some great battles in one-on-one heats. John John leads 3-1. Filipe got him once. It lowers that one year when it was smaller conditions in a semifinal in 2017. All other three going to John. They're more recent, obviously, on the Gold Coast this season. But their first time here in a final together at the Bells Bowl in perfect conditions. I mean, what a treat to make finals day. Yesterday,
yep,
probably wouldn't have seen many people surfing on the day of what the event wasn't around.
Yeah.
But today is just perfect offshore, solid, and just peaking at the right time. Surfline told us they'd still have some massive sets right now, and they've been spot on this week.
They sure have. Absolutely nailed it, and you can see both surfers starting to make a move towards the outside. And look where they're sitting, Joe. What are they lined up with right now? The stairway.
That's your secret spot, Potts.
Right.
Positioning yourself right to that staircase. There's the whistle. We can hear it. He's a little undercover wearing a dark sweatshirt.
6.98, Joe. What is that going to take, you reckon? I mean, a couple of big turns, a big finish, maybe something in the air. I mean, the kid can do pretty much anything he wants, but now it comes down to making sure he chooses the right maneuver. John having a look at that one. That wind starting to maybe switch direction just a little bit. 4.5 to go.
There's the signaling from Ricardinho. Toledo now at 4:25. That kind of time at Bells, I mean, how many opportunities are you going to have left with a swell like this?
Well, those longer period swells, I mean, it could go flat for the rest of this heat. I've been in a final where the last 7 minutes not one wave broke. So it can happen out here. That's why you've got to really be vigilant with when you decide to go. Make sure you take full advantage of that. Make sure you give every wave your undivided attention. Finish on your feet, because that one little tiny mistake could come back and haunt you.
And that's what Toledo's dealing with now, who had an incredible connection to start. The opposite side, Florence was falling, and John came back. The 6.67 for Florence was very critical just to give himself a shot to turn the heat. Knew he had plenty of time for 2 waves. He's learned so much from trying to win the world title on every wave he rides. When you go back to those first couple of years on tour, he's given us so many incredible moments, like the Margaret River win. 5 total championship tour victories for John, 7 for Toledo. And focus on the lineup. Ricardo, a 2-time Brazilian national champ, great surfer, still rips. Felipe's older brother, Mateus, absolutely shreds, was a sparring partner for guys like Miguel Pupo back in the day. And Toledo just pacing his way out the back, looking for something to work with. Can he afford to really change where he's sitting right now, Potts?
Well, you know what, Joe? It's kind of been working for him so far. He's just got to stick to his guns, maintain your position in the lineup, but be vigilant, because the sets can, you know, there are the bigger ones, so you want to make sure that you're in the right place for it. Don't go too far out. Don't sit too close in. I mean, it's one of those things. You've just got to be absolutely on it. Sets coming through now, and are we going to see a taker on this first wave?
Filipe Toledo has priority. They both have to duck under. Looks like this one behind is starting to show itself.
Yeah.
But didn't have the same amount of size.
2 minutes to go. Toledo's. Oh, was that a motion?
Paddled and looked at the edge. Priority judge will decide if he made an effort for it. Now 155, no change from our angle. Looks like he's still holding priority.
How's the ocean, right? I mean, all day long there's been 2 3 wave sets. That set comes through, there's only 1 wave in it. So very unpredictable, and that's what makes it so difficult to win here, because there's no rhyme or rhythm with the ocean. I mean, you could paddle out there and all of a sudden it'll change, you know, the wind direction, the tide, you know, the sets, the frequency of the sets, and then all of a sudden you get left with, you know, needing a wave towards the end. So that's the difficulty of Bells Beach.
And now heading into the final minute here at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. Filipe Toledo knocked out of this event very early by Italo Ferreira last year. Now making his first final, and has 1 minute to come back and keep his record perfect when it comes to taking over big wins in the final heat of the contest. You can tell Toledo just changed his energy from just looking smooth and comfortable, rhythm with the sets. His lines are perfect. And now the stress came through once John got the lead change.
You know what, that 6.67, I mean, I don't know about you, Joe, but I was kind of thinking, was that the right move to make for John? It was a smaller wave, but it got him in. It got him back into the heat. It changed the rhythm. There's the whistle, and he ended up getting that 7.6. that gave him the lead. So after all that, yep, that wave made sense.
Now down to 30 seconds. Pressure on Toledo.
My goodness.
This is why you hear the whistles. The set now showing up. You can see the set's coming around the corner miles away. Now Filipe is going to get an opportunity. Needs a 6.98 to steal the bell off Florence. He's got a lot of speed. Section's coming down in front of him as he is ultra deep. Still waiting for his first move as he'll hear the horn sound. There's the carve to start. Wrapping turn into the pocket. Toledo feeling the pressure of the energy of all the crowd cheering for him through the final move. Big vertical, stays on his feet. Toledo chasing a 6.98. Got himself a shot. The heat ending while he was in motion. He's had a bit of a delay before that first turn, but he did have a big finishing move putts.
Yeah, you know, that first part of the wave, Joe, there was a lot of time to get around that section. The first maneuver was more of a wrapping style turn. Let's have a look. I mean, talk about leaving it to the last second and racing down the line. An average surfer would not have got around that section, but Toledo comes around, and then there's the first turn. Second maneuver, just a big wrapping cutty. And then again, another slicing turn. Now he starts to build up speed through the inside. He's got to finish strong. Up and into the lip and finishes 6.98. Are we seeing that, Joe?
So we take a look at the finish. The best turn putts put a lot of pressure on that tail.
I mean, that was one of the best finishes he's had on any of his waves. But I think the beginning part of that wave, I'm not sure.
He had a lot of downtime, but what an effort to give himself a shot. Judges making the decision on the final here at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. Last score for Toledo, not enough. John Florence takes the big bell at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach for the first time in his career. Hawaiian surfer Seth Bonis, the rookie on tour, is going to be there to celebrate. What a comeback story. Dealing with an awkward year last year, having the toughest injury of his career at Karamas that sidelined him until the Gold Coast this year. Got past Toledo in a close decision on the Gold Coast and gets past him again in a very close decision at Bells Beach.
You know what, looking at that heat, Joe, Toledo didn't really do much wrong, did he? Started strong. And John, underneath, I mean, with priority, caught that 6.67 that just changed everything up. You know, you think that massive scores win heats. Well, that really put him back into rhythm, and then got that 7.63, I beg your pardon, to win. So, wow, incredible stuff there from John John.
What a role for John Florence, representing Hawaii on tour, joining names like Shane Dorian, the legendary Sonny Garcia, who won 3 big bells in his career and had a ton of consistency. Jeff Hackman, the first to win for Hawaii, and now John Florence will be on the staircase. Last score for Toledo was the 5.9. That ended up being short for the requirement, chasing the 6.98. Needed an extra point on that decision. Florence is back. Had the matchup with Medina to kick off finals day. Had to get past the Bells champ and Jordy Smith. And now Filipe Toledo, who before that he'd had a 100% strike rate in finals.
Okay.
Rosie's already joining John on the stairs.
What a celebration, what a win. John back from injury and straight into an event when you just took out the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Serving against Filipe out there, definitely nerve-wracking, especially 1 minute to go and he gets that wave. I was just like, oh no. I'm super stoked. It's been a challenging event for sure. A lot of effort, a lot of work, but I'm super stoked.
And with that, when you're back in the Jeep Leaders jersey, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel super good about that. still super early in the year, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm just going to keep surfing my best.
How scary was it when Filipe took off on that last wave?
Yeah, with Filipe, you kind of just got to be like, kind of expect he's going to get the score. And so I was just kind of like, same with Gabriel. I was like, okay, hopefully there'll be another one and I can get another score. With those guys, unless it's like 8s and 9s, you really got to like secure the heat. Otherwise, it's all up in the air until the last seconds.
That winning feeling, pumping waves, there's got to be nothing like it.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. I was out there, I was so tired. I'm like from yesterday, the 2 heats yesterday, and then 3 heats today. I'm just exhausted, but I have such a good team around me, and everyone's been such good support. You know, Eric and Brandon, my girlfriend Lauren's here, and my whole family at home. So super stoked, and can't wait for the next event.
The next event is Bali. How are you going to prepare for that?
I'm gonna go home, kind of reset, and yeah, just get excited for Bali. Karamas is such a good wave.
You have been incredible to watch. Congratulations on the Rip Curl Pro Brawls Beach win. You guys stay tuned because the WSL Post Show is coming up.